set in stone. We've had many people offer variations on these models, and again, this is not prescriptive. We just offer these models as possibilities of ways of grouping students and also of assigning different roles in the classroom to the two teachers. So the first three models we see, the students remain as one group and the teachers take on different responsibilities and roles in the classroom. The next three models, Model 4, 5, and 6, you see the students are divided into two groups and each teacher taking on a different role. And then the last model is we see that the students are divided into multiple groups and the teachers will circulate and monitor and teach. You'll see this illustration where the students are remaining in one group and we have one lead teacher and one teacher teaching on what we call teaching on purpose. Here the teacher may stay stationary near a small group of students and the teacher might also circulate the entire room. However, this is not a model we recommend you spend 45 minutes of a period using. Because what happens here, if you use this model for 45 minutes per day, or how many minutes you are in the classroom, what happens is the classroom, the ESL teacher becomes a very highly paid teacher aide. And that's not the purpose of this model. The purpose of this model is to make sure that what's being presented initially is being understood by the students in a short period of time.
Yes, this is truly teaching on purpose. If you notice that a kid is lost, is not on the same page, then you're the one who jumps in and immediately helps get that student back on track.
The second model, we have the students remaining in one group and two teachers teach the same content. Very much like Andrea and I are presenting to you today. However, again, do you spend the whole period with the students as a whole class and being up in front of the room? Absolutely not. It's just one way to configure part of your lesson.
You saw Nancy and Matt introducing the language and the content objectives. That was a comment that we had also before, to be mindful of the language that's needed for the content. Or the two teachers in the kindergarten class, each modeling a different page. One was modeling the writing page on animals, the other one favorite foods, wearing the same thought bubble with the cutout face. So they were taking turns because the ESL teacher might emphasize something differently. So that's where your skill set comes in, how you are going to model. And that's the real value of it, if I could just try to sell it to you. The curriculum continuity, that those kids are getting the same access to the curriculum because they are in the classroom with the ESL teacher's support. It's a major shift because of the Common Core that we have to think through and try to embrace.
Model 3, again, students remain in one group and one teacher teaches and one teacher assesses. And Andrea has a wonderful lesson that she happened to observe. I wasn't there, I was in another classroom at the time, and I'd like her to share it with you.
Yeah, this was before we got smart and bought a flip camera. After that lesson, when I missed that lesson, I told Maria, we have to just capture these lessons. This was truly brilliant, but only took a few minutes. So again, this is not 45 minutes. One teacher, I can explain this lesson. This is a mini lesson.
The first three are the mini lesson, the different ways you can handle the mini lesson.
Exactly. But these two teachers, third grade teachers in the classroom, one teacher was reviewing vocabulary, very robust, very complex vocabulary with the kids from the previous lesson. Every child had to write the word on an erasable whiteboard and hold it up. Does that sound familiar? Just a little review at the beginning of the lesson. The other teacher had a clipboard, and she checked off if the kids got the words or not. Brilliant. Now, this already would be brilliant, but here is the best part of the lesson. This did not take more than 5 minutes, more like 4 or 3. And when they reviewed the vocabulary, the second teacher with the clipboard, with the data, the student immediately pulled those kids aside ESL, non-ESL, that wasn't the point. The point, who did not get the words? Who needs support with these vocabulary words? And she had a heterogeneous, mostly English learners and some former English learners. You're not surprised, right? Those who tested out of ESL but still needed language support in her group to reteach the vocabulary. Now, the other teacher, often you have a question, so what is the other teacher going to do then? The other teacher does not go forward. The Common Core Directive tells us go deeper. So we're not leaving this group behind, obviously, but that other group can have some enrichment or plenty of digging deeper and higher order thinking or comprehension going on with them. So that was a classic example of how to use this model immediately to inform your instructional decision. And with 2 teachers in the room, it is something that was exemplary and very, very well using the available co-teaching models.
With Model 4, now the students are divided into 2 groups. As you saw, the Nicole and Danielle little video clip, 2 teachers are teaching the same content. The instruction can be differentiated, and very often the groups are switched at one point or another.
Here, of course, the point is different resources. You might not have 27 kids the opportunity to come up to the smart board, but if you have 12, then you're going to have more interaction with the technology that's available.
Then Model 5, 2 groups, 1 teacher pre-teaches, and 1 teacher teaches alternative information. And this can come about by assessment, where one group of students may need to be pre-taught vocabulary or build their background knowledge before the lesson. And again, this is a mini lesson that occurs, and the teacher, one teacher will be teaching, pre-teaching that information, while the other teacher digs a little deeper on the topic. Model 6, very similar and very much akin to the example that Andrea just gave you of the 2 teachers. One teacher assessed while the other teacher gave the mini lesson. And then the students were broken up into the group that needed reteaching, and then the classroom teacher at that particular example then taught alternative information. Not always does the ESL teacher need to be the one who pulls aside and does the pre-teaching or reteaching. That's always negotiable depending upon the students and their needs.
But we heard earlier, and we want to acknowledge that many of you are concerned about what your principal is telling you to do. But you see, this is the opportunity for you to keep in mind that you will be then the person who will deliver the mini lesson that's retaught or pre-taught. Front-loading, we could use so many different words, or back mapping based on the Common Core. So this is that golden opportunity for the ESL teacher to be completely connected to the classroom curriculum. That's our purpose. Yeah. That we're not teaching a separate standalone curriculum anymore, but we are tied to the classroom curriculum and skills.
When you're pulling out students in a K-5, K-6 environment like I did, you cannot be an expert on the K-6 curriculum the way an individual teacher is. It's just not possible. And even though I taught ESL on the elementary level for 25 years, as the curriculum changed, as No Child Left Behind was instituted, etc., those pieces of classroom curriculum changed, but I didn't have that access to those changes as well, and I knew I couldn't service them as well as with the content area expert who was the classroom teacher.
We also like to use these 2 slides. Maria, would you go back to 5?
Surely.
Take a look at 5 and 6. Only 1 letter difference, the letter P. Pre-teach or reteach. If you're familiar with the special ed inclusion models, you will see that these 2 models are grouped together. We purposefully, intentionally separated them out, recognizing the ESL teacher's critical role, as you were wondering about how could you provide that kind of front-loading or foundational skills. Because we felt on Mike in special ed, in ESL, this is our main mission, to make sure our kids get those foundational skills and also get more reteaching, more spiral teaching as needed. So that is the reason why not that we wanted to top all the other literature out there. Nobody else has 7 models. Only our book has 7 models. So you're really getting a good deal here. All the other models are 4, 5, or 6 if you look at the special ed literature. But please keep this in mind, how purposeful we were.
And then the last model is there are multiple groups, 2 teachers, monitor and teach, as we saw in the middle school example where the students were divided up and Nancy and Matt, the classroom teacher and the ESL teacher, were circulating the classroom. Sometimes what happens is the teachers remain stationary and the students circulate between the different stations that occur in the classroom.
Learning centers.
Learning centers.
Or guided reading groups. The Readers Writers Workshop model. So many initiatives that you already have to deal with in your schools would really fit this particular model where you set up 3, 4, or 5. We actually observed one teacher. We thought she was going a little overboard. She had 8 centers.
Oh, wow.
Said, no, that was a little too many. She really wanted to impress us, but even for 2 teachers to manage 8 centers, that was 4 per person. Too many. It's really not necessary. Her rationale was, the classroom teacher, she really wanted to address all those very specific soft skills. So the kids were rotating.